one of the things that drives me crazy. What leftists will often say is, instead of addressing abortion, why don't you address the root causes of abortion, which is a dog whistle for support every bizarre and ineffective government takeover of private industry and social safety nets possible. And then the answer, of course, is that's why I advocate for marriage and the family. That's why I'm constantly telling people don't
Right.
have sex outside of marriage. You
Right.
know, I will be lampooned for saying this by leftists. Oh my gosh, this is a conservative who still actually believes people should wait until they're married in order to have sex. It's crazy that you would think you should be in a position where you can raise a child with someone before you do the thing that creates a child. It's totally
Mhm.
insane. But of course, it's the most straightforward and obvious thing we can do to prevent a culture which pushes for abortion in the first place.
Well, and that's the incredible thing about a child-centric view. So what we do with Them Before Us is we look at every marriage and family issue from the perspective of what about the kid?
Mhm.
Whether it's the definition of marriage, when divorce should take place, when it's permissible, same-sex
Mhm.
parenting, transgender parenting, cohabitation, polygamy, adoption, definition of parenthood, whatever it is, if it has to do with marriage and family, we center the child in that conversation, and it brings incredible clarity and
Mhm.
consistency. And so, when you're talking about sex and unplanned pregnancies and family and marriage and all of that, you say, okay, children have a right to their mother and father. Okay, so
Mhm.
we make the case for that in the first chapter of our book. It's, the forward is by Robert George, natural law scholar and, Catholic superstar. I mean, the man knows what he's talking about. Okay. And so we make the case for children's right to their mother and father. And then we say all adults, single, married, gay, straight, fertile, and infertile,
Mhm.
bend to the rights of the child.
Absolutely.
You conform your life to your child's rights and needs. You do not expect the child to sacrifice their rights so you can live as you please. And
Mhm.
so, when you have that understanding of children's rights to their mother and father, marriage becomes a matter of justice for children. Marriage is the vehicle that grants children access and relationship to the two people to whom they have a natural right. Marriage is now a matter of child justice and child thriving. And when you look at the definition of marriage through that lens, not through the lens of how do I feel, who do I connect with, who makes me happy, who makes me satisfied, right? When you look at it through the lens of children, there is only one definition of marriage. That definition will never change, no
Mhm.
matter what our laws, our culture, or our technology says about what marriage is. Children come from a man and woman. They have a natural right to that man and woman. They developmentally benefit from being raised by that man and woman. That man and woman married together will create statistically the safest environment for the child. Only that man and woman can grant children the biological identity that helps them answer the question, who am I? These things never change.
Mhm.
Our culture, our laws, and our technology will either recognize and respect that fundamental reality or they will victimize kids. Those are the only two options.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And currently, what we're doing is we're sacrificing children at the altar of our collective social sexual experimentation.
Yes.
What
Yes.
can we as men and women get away with? What bizarre new fetish can we push? What absolutely diabolical and disgusting way of twisting nature into something it's not supposed to be can we employ here to aggrandize ourselves and have our sick desires met at the expense of children? And it always comes at the expense of children. You're absolutely right. I mean, the purpose of marriage is, of course, for the good of the souls of the spouses, but for the creation and education of children. And what we've done is we've taken basically everything in our culture and we've reoriented of our understanding of it away from its initial purpose and
Mhm.
towards maybe what we would consider to be some of the positive side effects or motivating factors. So, for example, when a married couple have a healthy relationship with one another, of course, they should love one another. They should feel positively about each other. That's one of the incentives for being in a relationship. That's one of the motivators. That's not the entire purpose.
Mhm.
Similarly, with sex, of course, that is something that men and women enjoy doing together. But the pleasure is not the purpose. The pleasure is the motivator.
Yeah.
Similarly, with eating food, we're capable of recognizing this. You eat food to fuel your metabolism, not because food tastes good. Now, I understand that when you sit down and eat, you're not thinking, I want to fuel my metabolism any more than a married couple is necessarily thinking, we want to make a children or we want to make a child or children right now. But when you do something that gets in the way of that activity fulfilling its function. So, for example, if you eat food just to vomit it back up because your only intention was to have the taste without the actual function of what the activity is for, I would say that's akin to using contraceptives or doing something that actually negates the purpose of sex and family life. So now what we have, because things are so out of whack and people have completely lost any understanding of what any of this means or what it's for, we have this serious question. Well, can two men be married? Not only do we have this question, but we argue that we've decided upon it. Well, the purpose of marriage is just to feel good about yourself and just to be with another person who makes you feel good about yourself from moment to moment, hopefully. And then as soon as they don't, you leave. Well, under that paradigm, who's there to advocate for children?